Hello, sleepy nighttime people. The voiceovers are back. I'm still on a writing break, and one of the things I like to do when I'm on a writing break is consume media in different forms, like movies and books and comics, and just give my creative world a chance to refill while I'm on that break. By the way, just passed 60K on my book, so it's coming along. Stick around to find out. I just recently watched Netflix's new movie, Damsel. I have some thoughts. Some good thoughts, some bad thoughts, but thoughts, and I figured why not come up here since I have no friends, that I would talk about it online instead. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. Didn't love it. I felt like it had a lot of potential that kind of got squandered, and that made me angry, and that's why I'm here. So, just a disclaimer, I am not a professional, I didn't go to school, I'm not a video essayist, these are my opinions, they're not going to be well organized, I'll do my best. So, disclaimer done, moving on. Overall, I thought it was good. It wasn't great. I did enjoy watching it, but there were some moments that really pissed me off. Well, maybe not pissed me off, but just moments that I was like, ugh. Missed it. You missed it. Why? We did not need the prologue. Prologue was unneeded, unnecessary, didn't like it. It didn't add anything. All it did was make me mad because the king looked like he had been ripped out of a medieval crusader documentary, and all it did was just take me right out of the story. I hated that. And all the information that we got from the prologue could have easily been fed into the main body of the story. It just wasn't necessary. I wish we had instead taken some of that time to get to know Elodie, whatever her name is, a little bit more, since she's the main character. I would have liked to have seen more of her before she got the marriage proposal. What they could have done is they could have given her a little bit more motivation. She's the oldest daughter. She's got to help her dad out. She has this younger sister. They're not doing too great. He didn't have any sons, so now he's like, oh, what are we going to do? There's no one to help me. They could have given her a little bit extra time to be like, this is her. She's helping her dad out. Does she want to get married? Does she have those desires? I wanted to know that. I wanted to know, does Ellie want to get married, but she just can't get married? She's this young girl. She's got dreams. She wants to go do things, but she's sort of stuck. She's sort of stuck with her dad. She's sort of stuck with the responsibility of being the oldest, and I felt like they could have made that more prominent. They could have weighed that on her a little bit more before the marriage proposal came in. And then because they're suffering and not doing so well, maybe she doesn't have any marriage prospects, maybe they're going back and forth on what they're going to do, what they're not going to do, and then this marriage proposal comes in, and there you go, there's your answer. It's kind of helps feed into this, it's a dream come true fairy tale type of idea that they were going for. I feel like they kind of they missed out on that. They could have done more. This whole movie, I just felt like it was good, but they could have done more, and that's why it's so disappointing for me. Moving on, there were some visuals in this movie that I really liked. There's two in particular. The one where they're driving under the dragon arches with the lanterns. That was fantastic. Love that. And then when the birds are on fire in the caves, perfect. Loved it. I wish that they had leaned into that fantasy horror aspect of this movie a lot more. They threw it in as spice and then didn't really push it as hard as they could have, and I feel like it would have been a lot better. And again, if they had gotten rid of that stupid prologue, they could have left a little bit more tension and mystery when they finally did reveal that it was a dragon. We knew going in it was a dragon. But, the prologue just sort of killed any tension they were trying to build by telling us right away it was a fucking dragon. Anyway. So, Elodie gets this marriage proposal. She's, not too sure about it. Her dad needs the money, so he agrees. They shipped the entire family out. First of all, why? They shipped the whole family out to this other kingdom to marry Elevie off. And I feel like, why? Why did everybody need to go? Hi, I just wanted to clarify the reason I don't think the entire family needed to go is because they had to sail there, and if the ship had sank, they all would have died. And also, who's running the estate with everybody gone? Who's running it? No, but not everybody needed to go. The only reason that the little sister went was so that they could try to sacrifice her later. But not everybody needed to go. They could have cut it down to just maybe the stepmother, and then stepmom and Elevie could have had more time to bond, because the stepmother just sort of have a little bit of a role. Again, wish she would have gotten more. She's one of those things that I wish had come up more. I wish, because step-parents are always getting shit on in movies, especially in fairy tales, so they were trying to subvert the evil stepmom trope, and they kind of did, kind of didn't. It would have been better. She didn't get a whole lot of screen time, and what she did get was not enough. She needed more. Her and Elevie needed more time together for her to, for us to care about any of them, honestly. So once they get to the kingdom, it was that part of the movie was fine. They were trying to build tension, which they had already killed with the prologue. If they had leaned more into the horror aspect, the fantasy horror, and they had not killed it with the prologue, it would have felt heavier with them trying to build up this weird murder kingdom. But it was fine. It kept me interested. Her meeting the prince, and then them having their little meet cute and going on and doing whatever they needed. I liked how slowly Elevie starts to notice things that are out of place. I thought that was fine. Now, when they go up to the mountain, there was zero tension because we knew what it was already, and it would have, again, had more tension and stakes if they hadn't ruined it in the prologue. If they had just left it a mystery, they could have taken Elevie and the prince and all of these weird rich royals up to the mountain, and then we're asking questions as the audience. What's going on? What's happening? Elevie is asking those same questions because we're right there with her. What's happening? What is this? Then they do the whole palm cutting ceremony. Also, the palm cutting ceremony, this whole thing started with princesses. 3 princesses. Why is there a prince? Why is it not a princess trading places with Ellie? Why is it not the princesses who are supposed to be sacrificed trading places with Ellie? It would have been really great. Would have been really great world building if the 3 princesses had been there trading places with each of the new brides, instead of just one spoiled prince boy marrying each of them and cutting his palms 3 times and then throwing them in. Where are the princesses? Where are the 3 fabled princesses that started this whole thing? Where are they? I want to see them. Ellie getting thrown into the pit felt very much like a grim fairy tales movie. I liked it. It was great. Her breaking down and slowly losing pieces of her wedding dress, I thought was great. I like that part. It's Ellie's whole arc is losing that innocent girl that she used to be, losing the damsel that she is to eventually become the knight, and watching her slowly lose pieces was really interesting to watch. I know it was kind of obvious what they were doing. It was very obvious, but at the same time I didn't mind it. It was fine. I really liked how at first they seemed as if they were the stakes were there because they were hurting her. She was getting injured. The stakes felt real because she was getting hurt. And I like that. And then they immediately retconned it with the magic silkworms who immediately healed her. I was like, come on. It killed the stakes. it killed the stakes. Like, why be afraid of this dragon if you have the magic silkworms? Also, the entire time that she's going through the cave system, I did not like how they kept playing around with how they were hiding the dragon. I didn't like that, because what they should have done is they should have revealed it was a dragon after the bird scene, when the birds are flying through the cave, that big cavern on fire. That's when they should have revealed that it was a dragon. That would have been the perfect moment. Having her come through the stalagmites and the stalactites, fire burning, there's bats and cave birds on fire all around. That would have been the perfect moment to have them meet and to reveal that it was a dragon. It would have just... And then what do? They kept hiding it. Why? I don't know, because it already told us in the beginning it was a dragon. Also, when she gets to, like, the cave where the dragon can't reach, why would the dragon let her get that far? Why? Like, I understand the dragon kind of wants to toy with her food a little bit, but why would she let them get that far if they could just stay in there indefinitely? I mean, maybe they'll have to come out to try and find food and water, but why let them get to that part anyway? And also, what was the purpose of introducing the ghosts of all the previous women? They didn't do anything with it. I was hoping they would. It was adding to that fantasy horrorness that I wanted, and then it didn't go anywhere. All it did was introduce that stupid map that Ellaby uses to get out. And my problem with the map is, in order to complete the map, somebody had to keep running back and forth, finding new places, and then coming back to the save spot in order to finish the map. And the last girl made it all the way to the top. Did she do the map before she went up there? Or did she do the map after? Or what? Ellaby finds her corpse up there, so it's like... And then also the dragon was following Ellie as she was going out of the safety cave. So it's like, how? What? Come on. The map was stupid. The map was stupid. Nix the map if you're not going to do anything with the ghosts, and then just have Ellie kind of wander around and find the crystal cave, or the crystal tunnel, whatever it is. Another thing that I liked is how she kept, when she was losing pieces, she kept getting more feral. It was playing into this, she's becoming the dragon idea. I really wish that they would have let her keep her long hair. It gave her this wild and feral look that was adding to the idea that instead of becoming the knight, which is the typical story that this follows through with, it's the typical hero's journey, is the knight comes in and saves the day. Ellie was supposed to become the knight, but instead she was slowly becoming the dragon, and her having this wild, feral look about her was feeding into that, and I really liked it. And what did they do? They cut her hair off and made her the knight instead, and I hate it. Okay, one of the most useless plot lines was probably her dad. I didn't feel like it didn't really add a whole lot. It probably could have been cut. Hello, it's me from the future again. I just wanted to add, I didn't quite say this very well. I didn't like the dad plot line because they made him a bad guy, and I just don't think it was necessary. They made it so that he willingly knew what would happen to Ellie when he gave her off to get married, because he needed the gold, and I think it would have been better for her character if he hadn't known until like halfway through, and that's why he came to save her. But instead, they needed another bad guy, and they made it the dad. The biggest thing I hated about this movie has got to be the goofy ass dragon design. What kind of dragon has sideways slit pupils like a fucking goat? I hated this dragon design. It wasn't scary, it wasn't intimidating. As soon as they finally revealed, which by the way, they did way too long to do, they finally revealed it at the end because they knew it looked stupid and they wanted you to watch most of the movie. I hated it. It was stupid, it was goofy looking, her head was too small, her legs were too long, It just did not look like a dragon. It didn't look like a scary dragon. And then her pupils were sideways, like a goat's. What kind of dragon has sideways pupils? I hated it. As soon as they revealed what she looked like, it killed all of it. I was done with the movie at that point. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I forgave everything else. I could not forgive the goofy looking dragon. And also, the dragon did not deserve a redemption arc. That is one of my biggest issues with this story and this movie, is the dragon did not deserve a redemption arc. Actions have consequences, onions have layers. Actions have consequences, onions have layers. The dragon didn't need a redemption arc. She was supposed to be a tragedy. She was supposed to be this self-fulfilling prophecy. The king killed her babies unprompted, and it turned her into the monster that they thought she was. And then she spends the next couple centuries killing innocent women because she wanted to make the king pay, but he didn't pay. He didn't suffer. They suffered. She consciously decided as a sentient being that she was gonna kill these women, and she kept doing it over and over and over again instead of taking it out on the one person who deserved it, which was the king who killed her kids. She was supposed to be this tragic storyline, this self-fulfilling prophecy. Ellie should have come in and been the damsel who broke free from that damsel shell, became a knight, and slayed the dragon and ended the cycle of abuse. It started with daughters, and it should have ended with a daughter. Ellie should have been the one to come in and break that chain. She kills the dragon, and then, because it was a tragedy, and it started with the king, then she goes and punishes the royal family for being accomplices in the murder of all these innocent women. But instead, what do? They have them team up. Where's the justice for all those women who died? All, throughout this entire backstory, this centuries-long tradition that's been going on. All of these women, 3 women for every generation, get sacrificed to this dragon. Where is their justice? They don't get any closure. They don't get any justice. The dragon gets to live on. Ellie gets to go back to her home. One girl already died in the beginning, and then what? Ellie gets to save one more of them? And then the movie tries to gaslight you into thinking that that was the right decision, to have them team up with that cool looking ending. It just was not it for me. So because I'm trying to be a writing channel, I figured why not do a little fun exercise. I'm gonna try and rewrite this plot. I'm gonna stick to the major points, mainly just focus on the writing, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna split it into 3 parts: Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So Act 1, you have this, cut the prologue, you right on in Ellie, right in with Ellie. You have this bright-eyed young woman who dreams of getting married, and maybe she tells her young sister fairy tales, and she's very naive and a typical damsel. Very positive, everything is right and good, and she is sort of strapped down with this responsibility of being the oldest daughter. Her family are struggling for money. They might have to sell off some of their land. No one's really sure what they're gonna do, but she wants to go places. She wants to see things. She wants love. She wants to get married. She has all these very young, naive dreams. But she never thinks that they're gonna happen because she's the oldest. She can't worry about getting married. She has to help her dad. And then this proposal comes in, and it seems like a fairy tale dream come true, right? She's gonna get to marry a prince. Her family's gonna get some money. Everything's gonna be okay. It's it's like she won the lottery, everything's perfect, right? So she ships off with her stepmother or her dad, preferably her dad. She gets shipped off with her dad. They go and she meets the prince, and he's charming, he's handsome, very nice. They hit it off, everything seems good and well. What could possibly go wrong? Now, while she's in the castle, sprinkle in some weird little lore hints. There's lots of, like, funky dragon stuff. Like, they sail under the dragon arch. There's, like, the hinting at stuff. There's maybe some tapestries that hint at the history. Just sprinkle in some visual things. Maybe even have the family of the first bride, come in and ask where she is. They want to check on her. What's wrong? Why haven't we seen her? Where is she? But they sort of whisk Ellie away before she can really get into it and find out what's going on. And then they sort of distract her with the wedding. And it's all happening really fast, and Ellie is like, she still wants it, but like, is this really what she wants? Because it's all happening so fast, and she's getting these kind of weird feelings. She's having doubts. Maybe the queen pulls her aside and gives her this speech about accepting your role and like accepting duty and accepting your role, and this is what you were born to do. You need to accept it. Don't worry. And Ellie kind of swallows it down, but it leaves a bad taste in her mouth. It rubs her the wrong way, but she can't really do anything about it because everybody is telling her she needs to be happy. She's getting married. All of her dreams are coming true. So she can sort of push that worry to the back of her mind and quiet it down for a while. Now, the wedding. Ellie is accepting her role as a damsel. She is accepting the role as wife. She's in this fairy tale mode. She's not looking at things with a very practical and logical eye. She sees these weird things happening, but is just ignoring them because this is what she's always wanted. She's always wanted to get married and fall in love, and now it's happening, and what could possibly burst that bubble for her? And then they take her up to the mountain. Again, her fears are starting to surface, but she's trying to tamp them down because this is, again, everything she's always wanted. And then we drop a little bit more lore about why this is happening. Same with the way the queen did it in the movie. Leave that the same. They drop a little bit of lore. Everything is weird, but Ellie is not sure how to handle it. They cut the palms. She's like, alright, yay, I'm married, great, now I can move on. And hopefully this weirdness will go away. And then she gets dropped down into the pit, and the illusion shatters. End of Act 1, moving into Act 2. Death of Damsel, and the birth of a hero. She's in the caves, running around, screaming, crying, throwing up, slowly shedding pieces of her gown and also her damsel shell. She meets the dragon. It's scary and not goofy. Almost dies. Dragon maybe drops a little bit of backstory crumbs. And same way in the movie, she's running around, she's hiding, she's getting hurt. She ends up in the safety room. Or the safety cave, whatever the hell it is. This is the midpoint. This is where the damsel fully dies. This is where Ellie finally realizes that there is no one coming to save her. She is on her own. She sees the evidence of all the other brides who have come before her. They all died. No one has made it out, or no one has made it out and no one has made it out. They're all dead. This is where she realizes that she's on her own. She has to be her own hero. The damsel is fully gone, and Ellie is moving into becoming the hero. She vows to be the one to get out. She leaves her name on the wall, and Now her and the dragon are in this little game of cat and mouse. Ellie is still scared, but she's fighting more. She's learning to use her environment to survive. She's picking up on things. She's finding her way through the caves. And at the same time, the dragon is dropping a little bit more backstory crumbs. Maybe she's teasing, like, why she's doing this, but not fully saying it. And the whole time, Ellie is using her wits to outsmart the dragon and escape. Now, she can either do this, ixnay the map. The map was... I don't like the map. So we get rid of the map. Ellie has to find her own way through these caves. She escapes. Whether that be through the crystal tunnel or by some other means, Ellie gets out. The dragon throws her little tantrum. The queen sees this, realizes that Ellie was probably not the best person to try and sacrifice, and instead selects a more demure servant girl to take up to the dragon and try and appease her until they can get the next bride in. So they take her up there, they cut her palm, they take her up there. She's gonna be the sacrifice instead. Now, as Ellie is making her way down the mountain to try and get back to the boat to get home, let's say she sees this caravan or this troop coming up the mountain and she has to hide. And she catches a glimpse of this servant girl in either on horseback or in a caravan. She catches a glimpse of this girl and she comes to the realization that they're gonna sacrifice her in Ellie's stead. And this makes her realize that even though Ellie got out, this girl's not going to. There's always going to be another girl. There's always going to be another damsel who dies. And no one is going to help them. So Ellie has this choice now. Does she keep going down the mountain? Maybe they think she's dead. She has her chance to escape. Here it is. Does she escape? Does she try and go back home? Does she maybe try and tell people what's going on with this murder cult and risk not being believed? Does she risk going home and always having to look over her shoulder worried that they're going to send an assassin because she knows too much? Or is she going to end this here? Is she going to be the hero that ends it? Ellie has to decide, and she's going to go back in and try and save that girl. And we can cut to her dad, like, finding out from another girl's family, or maybe they torture a guard or somebody, and they find out what's actually going on here. Why is everybody so weird? What's happening? How come he hasn't seen his daughter come back from the mountain? He figures out what they're doing, and he goes up there to try and save her. And you might see Ellie going back up to the mountain on the way there. Now, we're moving into Act 3, the dragon. Ellie goes back into the mountain to save this girl, and at the same time, her dad is coming in to save her. He might say he found out what they were actually doing, and he's trying to stop it. Her dad is the classic knight coming in to save the damsel. Fighting ensues. Ellie thinks that she can save everyone, but cannot. Her dad dies, the other girl dies, and again, this fantasy is broken. Just because you did the right thing doesn't mean that you're going to always win. Life is full of injustice and evil, and good does not always prevail. So the knight dies. Ellie, the hero in Ellie dies, and at the same time, her dad dies. Symbolism. And this can also be at the same time where the dragon reveals fully why she's doing this. They killed her hatchlings, and she decided that instead of giving it to the one person who deserved it, she wanted to make everybody suffer the way that she was suffering. They made her a monster, and she accepted that role of being a monster. This is where Ellie kills the dragon and is reborn as the dragon. She is bitter, full of grief and anger at all the evil and injustice that has gone on with the royals and the dragon. So she takes it out on the royal family. They started it, they're gonna end it. And so she burns the castle down The last scene is her walking across the bridge, and there's smoke and flames rising up behind her, and they form the shape of dragon wings, and you hear the roar of like splitting wood beams and crumbling stone, and then it cuts to black. This does not have a happy ending. Ellie broke the curse, but at what cost? She is different now. She is worse off. She is not the doe-eyed, naive young girl that she was at the beginning of the story. She is different. She is broken. She is deeply traumatized. This is not a fairy tale. This is a horror movie. And it would have, like I said earlier, they leaned into those horror aspects. This is supposed to be a sad story. This is tragic. This is a man, a king, who let his fear drive him, and in doing so, led to the death of so many people afterwards. He made this dragon into the monster that he thought she was. She accepted that role. Spends the next however many years murdering innocent young women. And then Ellie comes down and is broken free from this damsel mindset, and also comes to the realization that good doesn't always prevail. I think the lesson here is that actions have consequences, but also you have a choice. You always have the choice on how you react to things. The dragon could have chosen to just kill the king and move on. The royals could have decided that they weren't going to sacrifice these girls. They were going to find some other way to stop it. They were going to either kill the dragon, they were going to find somebody who could do it, they were going to move out of their kingdom, they were going to save these women. They decided that they were going to play by those rules, and they willingly gave those girls up. The dragon could have moved on, but she didn't. She let that bitterness and that anger taint her into the monster. I think Ellie represents not only finding your own path, but also, in a weird way, justice. Because if Ellie had killed the dragon in the movie, she would have, and also because she killed the royals, she would have broken the curse and ended it. All of those women who died would have been avenged. And not a single one after that would have been sacrificed. The royals are gone. The dragon is gone. Now the kingdom can move on from this curse. And Ellie is broken, but she is now free to pursue her own choices and her own destiny. She doesn't have to accept this role that has been chosen for her. She can move on from this and be her own person now. Now, it comes at a cost. She is different. She is definitely damaged, but she still has realized that she has choices. She can make decisions on her own. Those decisions, like everything else, have consequences, but she has the freedom to make them. Alright, I think I'm done here. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the movie, and have a good night.